What's up, folks? I know some of you guys missed me. Um, I didn't miss the markets, to be honest, and I'm just saying this again. I have lost interest in the markets. I've lost interest in crypto. I don't really care to make these videos anymore, but I will try to keep it strong and do as much as I can, depending on how I feel. But basically, only making this for the people in my community. I know I was reading the chats and um, this is specifically for VMLT. If you're watching this, I know that you read or you posted something saying you missed me saying, "Hey, what's up, guys?" and then you would reply back. So this video is just dedicated to you, my friend. So let's go over the markets and what I think. And just right off the bat, I think that the local top, or sorry, not the local top, the macro top is in for the cycle. And I will explain why with the reasoning that I'm going to provide in this very detailed analysis, shorter video that I'm going to make. And, you know, I'm a trader and my daily bias changes. My macro bullish bias has been there since, even we had the dip from 100 down to 79K or whatever it was, the macro bullish thesis for me was there. But this is the first time that I am changing that high time frame macro bullish bias. And what I think is going to happen is moving forward, I do think that this is a lower high rally season. So instead of looking for long term positions, you should be looking for exits. And I think that in the bear market, this bear market is going to be much more challenging than the previous ones because we have a deranged fucking lunatic as a president. And at this point, we are back to where we were, at the beginning of the year. So this current price action is, you know, February through April. This is what I think is going to happen. Now, I don't think we're going to replicate the same exact thing. My high time frame target for Bitcoin has always been 125 to 135K. We have hit that, and I do think that this cycle is basically over in the uptrend. Now, I'm going to explain why. So, this is a fractal that I posted on Twitter, and as we can see, here is the first run that we had. Here is the second one. We had consolidation. Okay, we had an SFP there. We had an SFP there. We dipped. Okay, it created that next leg up, right? And then here we are again. Here's the first run. Here's the first run. Back dip. Ran up again. This is the highs. Rising wedge. We had an ABC, corrective pattern, right? ABC. This is your C. ABC, right? We are losing the wedge now. And this was the previous level that we needed to hold. Okay. And we came back and lost it. Now, this time it's a little bit different because we haven't lost it. We need to hold this weekly level. If we lose this weekly level, well, then this is a break of structure. Now, previously, when I had made videos, we were around here. And I said the weekly level for us to invalidate was 101 or 100K. Well, here is your high, here's your low, here's your high, here's your low. We made a new high. So now our weekly level is actually going to be this 107.7K. Lose that, then we have lost the weekly structure. Closing below would confirm a market structure break. And then we are looking for lower highs to basically short, right? Now the technical targets of this rising wedge is around 82, 83K. There is a order block there, okay? But if we lose this, if we close below this, so see how we closed below, right? this was our, if we're taking a look at this on the weekly, right, here is your high, here's your low, here's your high, this is your previous. We closed below, so you're looking for that lower high to short. Okay, yes, you could have, you missed it, but you know, if you caught it, then this would have been it. We also failed to make a higher high from this point on. We put in a higher low, but we failed, and we put in a lower high there. So something like that is what you're looking for. But if we close like this, then you're looking for shorts. And just that's how it is. And you know, it's not rocket science. You can't just based off hopium. You know, the solidifying factor for me that thinks that we are macro topped was that giant liquidation event that we had last Friday. Now, I've said this before. Well, not to you guys, but to my class, I was not active at all the last week. You know, luckily had no leverage positions, but I know a lot of good traders that got completely wiped out. And you know, that was the worst crash that I've seen in my whole entire time in this space. It was worse than FTX. It was worse than the COVID crash. That was bad. And to be honest, the reason why the market is so volatile isn't just because of the retard in charge. That's Trump, if you guys don't know. You guys should know now. And it's because the order books are very thin now after that event. Retail is most likely 70 to 80% wiped out. Okay, we lost again another huge amounts of money just today at this time of recording today in that recent dip that we had from what 112 down to 107 or whatever. So the order books are thin. Retail is out of money. Where is the money going to come in for us to propel to, you know, newer highs? All right. We don't have that. See, this dip that we just had here is very similar to this one we had back in November, right? We dipped, we had this long wick, we dipped, we had this long wick, and then it's just a slow bleed from there. Similar, this was, you know, last cycle's, you know, top and going into the bottom there as we slowly grind down. Again, there was no money there, and there's no money now. So where is the money coming from? Theoretically, if we want to gear up for the next level, then we are going, or sorry, next leg up, we're going to have to chop here for a bit, okay, for some money and for some confidence to come back into the market before we actually go higher. I don't think that's going to happen. And honestly, like, if you are in profit from down here and you're hoping to hit 500, 600K and you haven't taken profits, this is a good time to do so. You should be looking for, you know, exits in the next couple of weeks to months and be looking to change your stance to a macro bearish view until or unless something happens that, you know, the markets change. A lot of, and I've told you guys this from the beginning, that Trump isn't good for this space. That after he came into office, most coins weren't going to go and rally to all-time highs. Although, you know, people are asking, what about alt season? What about October? Whatever. That event just nullified all that, right? Alt season, there are coins that are still putting in multiple X's in a single day. They're very illiquid, but shit like, you know, like Sui and all these other big caps like Litecoin, XRP, they're not going to see their new all-time highs, right? Like Doge isn't going to $1. Get off that fucking hopium. Like AVAX isn't going back to its all-time highs. There are coins that are poised to do, you know, a good move if the market stabilizes and consolidates for the next leg up, but you can't hold your breath and you have to be able to play defensive when the time comes. And I did mention that memes are completely dead. You know, some idiot in a different server with a bull as his PFP will say it's a rotation of money and Fartcoin is, you know, being rotated and whatever. Memes are dead. This market is dry. right? So, in my opinion, you guys should be looking to either hedge against your longs down here if you had uh, positions that you've been holding for a few years. If you think the market is going to trend up in the next 2 to 3 years or 4 years, whatever, then yes, like you have perfect entries from down here. You could just look to start playing defense. But if you are from like here or up here, this is a good time to take profits and look for that market structure break to enter those mac or those high time frame uh, short swings, right? Now, Bitcoin also has lost the trend line from back of from April this year. We have lost the trend line. The daily hasn't closed yet, but I don't think we're going to get back up above 110 today. But like I said, we are on this level of support here. Okay, previously resistance, now it's support. If this level is lost, then you're just like on a higher time frame, right? We have here, we haven't lost market structure yet. Weekly closes in 3 days. But you're going to do top-down analysis and go the next level, and that's the daily. Okay, your next daily levels of support are going to be around 100K. Okay, we will most likely recover this wick, put in an SFP, grab the liquidity, and then just range back up. Okay, here is your resistance, and this is just your range. Here's your range highs. Okay, support, support, and we're hovering on support. So if we are to bounce, this would be the area to do so. Failure to do that, brutal. Now on a lower time frame, we had a head and shoulders. We broke it. The technical targets for the head and shoulders, okay, is around 104K. Now not only that, but this is also a bear flag. Okay. I'm not gonna take it down to the wick. I'm just gonna take it to here. And this will send you to about 102. So this isn't a dip, in my opinion, to buy. I think that the market is just going to chop. If you really want to buy with confidence, you would wait until a trend is established. But this is a nice time to go and touch some grass and come back when we aren't going back and forth with China in some type of stupid trade war and whoever holds the biggest nuts. P.S. It's not Donald, right? It's more of you want to protect your capital here, and if these are great levels that you see from the highs that we had just 2 weeks ago, we're down about 15% currently. So if these are great levels for you and you're a long-term buyer and you believe the market's going to go up, slowly start DCing. If you are in from down here, I don't think that this is a dip to buy. Yes, we could easily go back up, but you want to wait until a trend is established, until the risk of uncertainty is removed from the markets. People do not like uncertainty. Usually this leads to dips. Then you can wait until that happens. Now, CPI was supposed to come out today. Now it's going to be on the 24th. The lack of data because the government shutdown is also concerning people, and we don't actually know how much longer the government will be shut down. Again, the risk of uncertainty is something that keeps investors and traders usually away. Um, so if you want to trade this, great. That's all on you. If you want to wait for confirmation, that would be the best choice. You might miss out on a few setups, but it will remove that stress that we're constantly in and putting yourselves through, because to be honest, I can't even read the markets on a lower time frame. Higher time frame, easy, because you know what a structure is, you know how the structure will break and know how to play it. But on a lower time frame, this is all fueled by just headlines from Trump. So for me, sitting out, waiting for clarity before jumping into any trades. I did cut trades for losses, some decent losses, but this is all part of the game. And you have to be able to just know when to let go and get back in. And right now, uncertainty, sideline for me. Okay. Now, dominance, USDT dominance, is bullish. And if you have been, watching me cover this for the past few months, this was lower low into a lower high, and I mentioned whenever we had a close above that, we have, switched into a bullish stance. Well, we had the close above, we had the market structure break, we came back down into a higher low, and then now we're just going higher. And yes, we are at resistance here, okay? But this is a bullish trend. So USDT dominance is bullish right now, okay? And although we are at resistance here, if we get a flip of this, then sayonara, right? Now this price action where we had, huge move up, consolidate into a slow grind down, then consolidate into a huge move up, came back down, now we're consolidating, and this looks very similar. Okay, we even came and back tested the previous resistance. If we start consolidating here under resistance, then we're going to be at this stage, and we still have this to go. Okay. Now this is a wide accumulation range here, but as you guys can see, this looks very similar. Here is the accumulation. There's the breakout. There's the retest of the previous resistance. Same thing here, breakout, retest, breakout, retest, right? So because of all of these, I'm just sidelined. It's all pointing to an end. We're at the 4-year cycle. Okay, 2017 we had the dip, 2021 we had the dip, and now we're in 2025 of November. And this is exactly 4 years from the last dip that we had in November. There's your 4-year cycle. Okay. Now, the bullish the bullish thesis is this could be the the start of the 5th wave higher. I'm not sure. So watch. There's your 1, there's your 2. Okay. Here is your 3, here is your 4, and this could be, the 5th wave. Now, if we take a look at here on a higher time frame, this is when the bull market started. Okay, there's your break of structure. This is when the bull market started. And whoever says it started here or here, you're kind of fucked, buddy. Right? So let's say two. Okay, there's your 5th wave. All right, so again, everything is pointing to an end. And I know it's just best to be defensive here and not be overexposed into too many spot positions, and to either hedge or take profits if you're in from down here. Okay. Now let's take a look at ETH. Okay. So ETH, same fractal here. Resistance, deviation, came back down. We broke weekly structure. There is your lower low into a lower high, and then a slow grind down. Okay, resistance, deviation. We need to hold this level. If this blue level is lost, okay, this is your weekly invalidation. 35.15ish. Close below that, then you have a weekly market structure break, and you are looking for your lower high to short and then a slow grind down. Okay, I do think eventually we will go and tap this zone. Now, this would be a weekly structure break. This would be an area where you long, probably back into a lower high and then back down. Okay, for all those people that clown me and said we will be going down to, the 35 to $3,800 region, well, here you are. And I said that when we were around 4,400. Okay, it's just simple charting. Now, this was no one in their right minds, even myself, could have predicted the events that happened on last Friday. Okay, no one. That was just Binance being terrible. Binance needs to get rid, we need to get rid of Binance completely. They're just fucking shady people. That wasn't just because of, the Trump tweet. That was just a start of a rolling domino effect. Okay? So if we close below this this blue box, then this is bad for ETH. You want to see this demand zone be defended. But if we close below and we close back below the previous, range high here, this is a deviation and we will go back lower. Okay. I'm not giving setups in this video, but just keep these levels for you guys to watch. And the last coin that I will be going over, I'm not going over anything else because I'm not interested in the markets or wanting to be in positions, is Sol. Okay. This whole entire move was an uptrend, right? Higher high into a higher low, higher high into a higher low. Okay. We failed to make a higher high, we made a lower high. We broke below this into a lower low, and the trend is now down. We have also lost the trend line. Okay. So either we hope that this is some type of channel here, okay, or a falling wedge. But honestly, this level here needs to hold. From 187 down to 175 needs to hold. Otherwise, like everything else, this is dead. Right? And I do think that we will go and recover this wick at some point. If that happens, and we put in an SFP, you can get a lower time frame entry, but the daily is the most important part. And you would play that long back into another lower high, which then you could either sell or short. Can't give you guys that information yet because it hasn't happened, but that would be the setup. Now, because I said that this is a lower high rally, you're looking for rallies to short the next highs, right? So if we're, taking these highs down to there, look where we perfectly rejected from. If I were to go and replay this, and you took the fibs from the highs to the lows, there's your golden pocket around 201 to 205, right? We rejected perfectly from the golden pocket, and now most likely go and put in a new lower low. Okay. If you want to take it from this swing high, and that also tapped it perfectly. If we go and put another lower high, then the market structure is down and you're going to play it as such. The trend is down. You don't want to look for longs. You don't want to play against the trend. Well, you can long. I'm not saying you can't, but you should long with lower size. You should be looking to play the trend, which is down. And if you're counter trend trading, then you're going to go in with a smaller size. So right now, bears are in control. Shorts are more favorable. Unless Trump can put out a tweet at any time, the government can come back and reopen. These are the news that could push the rallies a little bit higher, but the trend is still down. Okay. For Sol, again, we're hovering here on support, a major critical level, just like Bitcoin and ETH. Lose this yellow box, then the next level you are looking at is going to be that wick low. Okay. There's nothing much or nothing worth going over. Everything is in a downtrend. So the coins that are worth trading are the ones with the highest volume. And right now, it's those shit coins that are doing 300, 400x. Like, what in the actual fuck is bless? Okay. These are the coins that if you see this on a coin you've never even heard of after the first initial pump, and this is, a few of them, right? And in 3 hours, 4 hours, it puts in, 300, 400, 500%. These are coins that you don't want to short until on a lower time frame, and I'm talking about lower time frame, 15 minutes, they have a market structure break, right? Because stuff like this, people are like, oh, I'm going to short here. I'm going to short here. I'm going to short here. Well, buddy, look, it's just straight up. There's no loss of momentum. Whereas, finally, here is the higher high. Here is the higher low. Here is a lower high. It failed. Bounce from support, right? Finally put in, like I said, on a lower time frame or actual any time frame, the more a level is touched, the weaker it's going to be. Here is the lower low. This became SR, rejected, and then slow grind down. So these are coins that, yes, you can play, but they're super volatile, and you want to wait until a lower time frame break of structure before, playing them. Okay, so these are the coins that are currently going off. Like this one, I think like Hana or whatever fucking other coins are out there right now. But the larger cap coins like Sol, ETH, and Bitcoin right now, I think the best is to just wait the chop out or look for higher time frame shorts on lower high rallies. But I don't think that the market has much more to give to the upside. In my opinion, like I said, macro top is in. Whatever happens after this year, I don't care. It doesn't mean we can't just rally from here to 120K. Again, the top was 126K. You will get rallies, but I do think that the top is in for at least Bitcoin. You could see some coins put in, like, for example, Sui's not going back to its all-time high from here, in my opinion. Sol, I think can get some proper consolidation. ETH runs back to like 4,500 or whatever. I would love if ETH made a new high because that would be brutal if it just put in an all-time high and then swept the previous all-time high and then just dipped. So like it's similar to last cycle where it just put in one all-time highs and never again and then dipped, whereas Bitcoin put in multiple all-time highs, right? So I would love if ETH didn't die and another all-time high wasn't placed in, but it's hard. Okay, so that's basically my view of the markets. Don't know when I'll make another video. Don't keep your hopes up. I'm chilling. I'm enjoying life, and hopefully you guys aren't stressed out and manage risk and positions and don't get liquidated. Thanks, everyone.